The twin suns of Veralia shone across the sprawling capital city, casting long shadows over towers of gleaming metal and crystal. The alien city was alive with sound and color. Hovering vehicles zipped between spires, while alien citizens with shimmering, multicolored skin moved gracefully across the walkways. The city belonged to the Queen, a powerful and wise ruler who had led the Verelians for decades. Yet today, her heart was heavy in a fortified palace at the city's center. Queen Solara paced the great hall. Her long, elegant limbs glided across the polished floor, eyes glowing faintly in worry. Her daughter, Princess Lyra, had been missing for 2 days. Not since the Great Wars had the Queen felt such fear. She cannot be gone for long, Solara murmured to herself, though her heart quivered. The rogues will pay if anything happens to her. The rogue faction had struck swiftly. Known as the Carden, they were a violent group that rejected the Queen's rule and sought to destabilize the planet. With stealth and cunning, it infiltrated the outer palaces and captured Lyra. The princess had been taken from her chambers during the quiet hours before dawn, and the city's defenses had been too slow to stop them. Far from Veralia, across the stars, a human vessel streaked silently through the void. Commander Jason Hart had received the distress call from the Queen herself, relayed through interstellar channels. He was not a soldier of the Verelian forces, but a human operative, assigned to intergalactic peacekeeping missions. Most aliens underestimated humans' short, fragile-looking creatures compared to the tall, powerful Verelians, but Jason had always relied on his mind, not just his strength. Jason studied the holographic map before him. The Carden base was located on a jagged asteroid near a gas giant protected by energy shields and automated defense systems. Many would have considered it impossible to infiltrate. But Jason leaned forward, a determined glint in his eyes. "Impossible is just a word," he muttered, "and I don't deal in words." The human vessel approached the asteroid, its hull sleek and silent. Jason adjusted his gear, magnetic boots, multi-purpose scanner, and a compact plasma weapon strapped to his side. His plan was simple: locate the princess, avoid detection, and get her out. Every second he wasted thinking about the dangers would cost lives inside the Carden stronghold. Lyra struggled against her restraints. She was elegant and strong, her violet skin gleaming under the harsh artificial lights. But even her strength could not free her from the tight energy binds that immobilized her. "Cowards," she spat, glaring at the 2 Carden guards who flanked her. "You think this will break me? My people will come for me?" The guards sneered. "At!" One was taller than her, with jagged horns protruding from his skull. "No one comes here, princess. You belong to us now." Lyra's heart pounded, but she refused to give in to despair. She had studied battle tactics and knew that hope was a weapon in itself. If she could survive long enough, someone would come. Somehow, someone always came. Far above, Jason's ship hovered just beyond the asteroid's energy shield. He had spent the last hour scanning for weak points in the shield and patrol patterns of the Carden drones. Finally, he found a tiny, overlooked maintenance hatch. "This is it," he whispered to himself. "Time to move." Jason activated his ship's cloaking system, allowing him to descend silently. He exited in a compact pod, maneuvering toward the hatch. The airlock clicked as he slipped inside the asteroid base. Inside, the corridors were narrow and dimly lit. Jason moved quickly, his senses alert. He had learned to rely on instincts that humans had honed for generations, observing, calculating, reacting. Every shadow could hide danger. Every corner could be a trap. He paused near a junction and listened. Voices low, rough, and alien echoed down the hall. Carefully, he peered around the corner and spotted the guards dragging a shimmering figure. Princess Lyra. "She's stunning," Jason thought, but there was no time for admiration. The princess's life depended on his focus. He took a deep breath and activated a small device. A flash of light disoriented the guards for a moment, enough for him to strike. Using precise, non-lethal force, he knocked them out and quickly approached. "Lyra, Princess Lyra," he asked gently, kneeling beside her restraints. Lyra froze. Humans were rare here, and seeing one up close, alive and unafraid, made her heart skip a beat. Who are you?" she demanded, suspicion and hope mingling in her voice. "My name is Jason Hart," he said. "I'm here to get you out of here. Can you move?" Lyra nodded, though she was wary. I think so, but the binds." Activated a small tool from his belt, and in moments, the energy restraints dissolved. Lyra flexed her fingers, feeling freedom for the first time in hours. "Good, let's go," Jason said. "But stay close, they'll notice soon." The princess followed as they moved through the corridors. Jason led her past the guards' quarters and into maintenance tunnels he had scanned earlier. Every step was tense, every shadow a potential threat. They reached a hangar where Jason's small ship awaited. A few patrol drones buzzed nearby, but Jason had prepared for this. Using a combination of clever maneuvers and temporary EMP blasts, he disabled the drones long enough for them to board the vessel. As the ship rose from the asteroid, Lyra looked back at the jagged rocks and the base she had barely escaped. "I cannot believe this," she whispered. "I thought no one could reach me here." Jason smiled, though tired. "Humans can be unpredictable. That's our advantage." Lyra studied him, intrigued. He was smaller, not as physically imposing as a Varelian, yet he had accomplished what her own people could not. She felt something she had not expected: gratitude, admiration, and maybe even a little awe. "Why? Why help me?" she asked. Jason looked ahead at the stars, thinking, because it's the right thing to do, because someone has to. They traveled in silence for a time, each processing the events. Lyra's fear began to ease, replaced by a cautious trust. Jason, for his part, knew their journey was far from over. The rogue faction would not let them go easily. But he had. Survived worsened. Humans thrived in impossible situations. As the ship slipped through space toward Varelia, Jason checked the communications feed from the Queen. The holographic image of Queen Solara appeared, her expression tense but hopeful. "Have you found her?" Solara asked. Jason nodded. "She's safe. We're bringing her home." The Queen's eyes glistened. "May the stars guide you both. I await my daughter's return." Lyra watched her mother's image fade and turned to Jason. You are remarkable," she said softly. "I never expected a human to do this." Jason shrugged, smiling faintly. "We have our ways. But don't get used to the compliments. I have a job to finish." Still, as the stars stretched before them, Lyra felt hope for the first time since her capture. A human had risked everything to save her, and maybe, just maybe, humans were more than she had ever imagined. The journey back had begun, and with it, a bond that would grow stronger, one built on courage, trust, and the undeniable spark of humanity shining in the vastness of the galaxy. The human vessel glided silently through the void, carrying Princess Lyra and Jason Hart away from the jagged asteroid that had held her captive. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, distant suns and planets shimmering like jewels in the darkness. Lyra stared out the viewport, her mind still spinning from the rescue. Every moment of fear she had endured, the binds, the guards, the cold corridors of the Carden base felt almost unreal now. Jason monitored the ship's instruments quietly, scanning for threats. "We're clear for now," he said, his voice calm but firm. "But we're not out of danger yet. The Carden will try to track us." Lyra turned to him, curiosity and admiration mixing in her violet eyes. "You risked everything." "For me?" "Why?" she asked. "I am a princess, yes, but why would a human risk his life for an alien?" Jason glanced at her, the faintest smile tugging at his lips. "Because it's the right thing to do. Because no one deserves to be held captive like that. And, because I can." Lyra studied him silently. Humans were strange small, fragile-looking compared to her people, but resourceful, determined, and daring. Jason had proven it. She felt a shift inside herself, a mixture of relief and something else she could not yet name. The ship passed near a small asteroid field, twisting and turning through the rocky debris. Jason maneuvered expertly, using every skill he had learned in countless missions. Lyra watched, fascinated. He did not panic, even when enormous rocks threatened to tear the ship apart. He simply adjusted, calculated, and moved forward. "You are very brave," Lyra said after a long silence. "I am not used to seeing bravery like this." Jason shrugged modestly. "Humans survive because we adapt. Sometimes that looks like bravery. Other times it's just stubbornness." Lyra let out a small laugh, the first sound of lightness in days. She had been tense, scared, and angry. Now, she realized there was room for hope and for companionship. Hours passed in relative silence. But danger was never far behind. Sensors picked up faint energy signatures. "Drones," Jason said, narrowing his eyes. "The Cardin are following us." Lyra's heart skipped a beat. "Can they catch us?" Jason shook his head. "Not if we stay smart. Keep calm and follow my lead." The ship veered sharply, diving into the shadow of a nearby moon. Jason's fingers danced over controls, guiding the vessel through natural cover. Drones appeared on the sensors, scanning for life signs, but none penetrated the darkness. Lyra watched in awe. "Your mind. It works so differently than mine. See the world in ways I could not imagine." Jason smiled faintly. "That's humans. We have to think fast and use what we have. Strength alone rarely works in situations like this." For the first time, Lyra felt a genuine sense of trust. The human was not just a stranger, he was her protector, her guide through dangers she could not face alone. As the hours passed, they needed rest. Jason plotted a safe course to a small, uninhabited moon, where they could hide for the night. When they landed, he allowed Lyra to step outside. The moon's surface was rocky and gray, bathed in pale light from a distant sun. Lyra breathed in the thin air, feeling freedom in a way she had not for days. "I never thought I would see the stars like this again," she said softly. I feared I would never return home." Jason looked at her, his expression gentle. "You will. We'll get you there together, I promise." She turned to him, truly studying him now. "You are. It's unlike anyone I have ever known. Brave, clever, and human. I do not know your people well, but I am beginning to understand something." Jason tilted his head, curious. "What is that?" "Humans can be extraordinary. You're small compared to my people, but your courage, your mind, it is remarkable." Jason chuckled. "Well, I guess that's HFY in action," he said. Using the term humans sometimes used proudly among themselves, humans. "Heck yeah." Lyra blinked at him, confused, and he laughed softly. "It just means humans can surprise the galaxy in ways no one expects." Lyra smiled faintly, the tension easing from her shoulders. It was a new feeling, hope, trust, and admiration combined. For the first time, she saw humans not as fragile creatures, but as beings capable of great feats. Night fell over the moon, and they made camp in a small cavern. Jason set up a compact energy field for protection, while Lyra observed his methods. Despite the advanced technology she had grown up with, she noticed his clever improvisations. The way he used limited resources to maximize safety and efficiency. "You make it look easy," she said quietly, watching him. Jason looked up, meeting her gaze. "Nothing worth doing is easy, but it's worth doing right." They shared a quiet meal. Alien rations for Lyra, and dehydrated human packs for Jason. Conversation flowed slowly, at first questions about her life, his world, his training. Each word built trust. Lyra discovered the human's sharp mind, quick thinking, and unwavering courage. Jason discovered the princess's intelligence, her strategic mind, and her quiet strength. Later, they lay under the moonlit sky. Lyra spoke softly. "I never thought a human could mean so much. I am grateful to you." Jason turned toward her, expression serious. "You don't have to thank me. I did what anyone should do, but I'll be honest. I'm glad you're safe. That's enough for me. For the first time, Lyra felt a bond forming not only because he had saved her life, but because he had shown her the value of courage, compassion, and determination, even across species. The next morning, they resumed their journey. Lyra noticed Jason scanning constantly, calculating trajectories, and watching for danger. "You never rest?" she asked. Jason grinned. "Rest comes later. Survival comes first. That's how humans live. Adapt, survive, and never give up." Lyra considered his words. Her people often relied on strength, hierarchy, and status. Humans relied on cunning, creativity, and tenacity. Perhaps that was why he had succeeded where others had failed. As they passed near a dense asteroid belt, they encountered their first major obstacle since leaving the rogue base, a Cardan ambush. Patrol ships emerged from hiding, weapons charging, intending to stop their escape. Jason's eyes narrowed. "Hold on," he said, adjusting controls. The ship dodged and weaved, narrowly avoiding energy blasts. Lyra held on, her heart racing. But she trusted him completely. He deployed decoys and temporary energy shields, using tactics she had never seen in her people. Every move was calculated, precise, and brave. Slowly, they managed to break through the ambush. When the danger passed, Lyra turned to him, admiration shining in her eyes. You are incredible," she whispered. Jason shrugged, though a faint smile appeared. "Just doing my job. But thanks, I'll take the compliment." Hours later, they approached a safe jump point interstellar corridor that would take them much closer to Varelia. Lyra felt hope swelling in her chest. She was not only returning home, but doing so with someone who had earned her trust and respect. As the stars stretched ahead, Jason glanced at her. "We're almost there," he said, "but be ready. The journey isn't over yet." Lyra nodded. "I am ready, with you. I feel like I can face anything." Jason smiled faintly, pride and resolve in his eyes. Humans might seem small in the galaxy, but their courage, determination, and ingenuity could shine anywhere, even in the vastness of alien worlds. And for Lyra, the princess who had known fear and captivity, she had discovered a truth she had never expected. Sometimes, the smallest allies could make the greatest difference. Together, they moved forward. A human and an alien princess, bound by trust, courage, and the shared goal of returning home. And in the quiet of space, a bond began to grow on that wood. Challenge expectations, forge alliances, and remind the galaxy that humans could indeed rise above all odds. The human vessel slipped through the vast darkness of space, stars streaming past like streaks of silver. Princess Lyra sat beside Jason Hart, her violet eyes reflecting the swirling lights of distant nebulae. Though they had survived the Cardan ambush and hidden among the asteroid fields, Lyra knew the journey was far from over. Varelia's capital lay ahead, and there were still dangers to face. Jason monitored the ship's sensors, his mind constantly analyzing every possible threat. "We're entering a less charted region," he said. "It's risky, but it's faster. We can avoid detection that way." Lyra tilted her head. "I do not understand why you humans are not afraid." Unknown space. Jason smiled faintly. "Fear is natural, but humans survive by thinking faster than we panic. We use our minds as much as our strength. You've seen that already?" Lyra nodded, realizing the truth in his words. Humans might be physically smaller. Their courage and ingenuity made them formidable in ways her people often overlooked. Hours passed in relative silence. Lyra studied Jason quietly, noticing the small, efficient movements he made as he adjusted the ship's course. Checking energy readings and calculating distances, every decision was precise, deliberate, and brave. She began to feel respect deepening into admiration. "You are remarkable," she said softly. "You save my life, guide me through danger, and yet you do not boast. You simply act." Jason glanced at her, a faint smile tugging at his lips. Humans prefer results to words. Action matters more than talk. Besides, he paused, looking ahead at the star-streaked void. "I didn't rescue you to be praised. I did it because it was right. That's enough. Lyra considered this, the wisdom in his words settling into her mind. The galaxy was vast, and yet here was a human, a tiny being from a distant world, showing her courage that rivaled her most powerful warriors. Perhaps the universe underestimated humans, but she would not. Not now. Suddenly, the ship's sensors beeped urgently. A cluster of rogue patrol drones appeared on the edge of the corridor ahead. Their red lights glowed ominously, scanning for life signs. Jason's jaw tightened. They've found us. Buckle up. Lyra clutched the ship's rail as he deftly maneuvered through the corridor. Drones fired energy beams, narrowly missing the vessel. Jason deployed small decoys and released a temporary energy shield. He guided the ship through twisting paths, dodging rocks and debris, while the drones struggled to keep up. Lyra's heart pounded, but she did not panic. She trusted Jason completely. Every maneuver he made displayed his extraordinary intelligence and quick thinking. For the first time, she realized that courage was not about size or strength, it was about determination, its creativity, and the willingness to act when it mattered most. After a tense chase, Jason led the ship into the shadow of a large asteroid. Disappearing from the drone's sensors, Lyra exhaled slowly, relief flooding her body. "You," she said, turning to him, "you are more than extraordinary. You are incredible." Jason smiled faintly. "Thanks. But don't get used to the compliments. We have work to do." The tension of the chase faded, replaced by quiet moments. They took a safe course toward a nearby uninhabited moon, a temporary sanctuary before the final stretch to Varelia. Jason's skills amazed Lyra as he guided the vessel to a hidden landing site. The moon's surface was rocky and barren, but it offered them a place to rest. Once on the surface, Lyra stepped outside, breathing in the thin air. Freedom, she realized, was more than escaping captivity, was feeling safe enough to think clearly, to rest, and to trust. "You are remarkable," she said again, not able to hide her admiration. "Even now, after all we have faced, you remain calm." "I do not know how you do it." Jason shook his head. "It's not magic. It's focus. Survival depends on keeping your mind sharp and your fear in check. You've seen that already." Lyra studied him. Humans were small, fragile-looking, but their minds could move mountains. She began to see why Jason had succeeded. Where even the most skilled Varelian soldiers might have failed. They rested for a time, sharing a quiet meal. Lyra tried some of the human rations, smiling at the strange flavors. "Not unpleasant," she said, "but different." Jason chuckled. "Humans eat what we can get. Taste comes second to nutrition." Lyra laughed softly, the first genuine laugh she had felt in days. It was a small sound, but it lifted a weight from her shoulders. She began to feel hope not just for herself, but for her people and for the human who had saved her. The next morning, they resumed their journey. Lyra noticed Jason scanning constantly, adjusting their course and monitoring energy signatures. "Do you ever rest?" she asked. Jason grinned faintly. "Rest comes when you're safe. Humans push until the job is done. That's how we survive." Lyra nodded, taking in his words. Her people often relied on strength, titles, and hierarchy. Humans relied on ingenuity, adaptability, and tenacity. She began to understand why Jason had been able to rescue her. Strength alone would not have sufficed. Hours later, as they approached a nebula dense with cosmic storms, danger struck again. Electrical discharges crackled across the void, threatening to fry the ship's systems. Jason's hands flew across the controls, recalculating trajectories and energy flows. Lyra gripped her seat as lightning-like energy arced around them. "Can we survive this?" she shouted. Jason's eyes were calm, focused. "We will." Hold. On, using his knowledge of physics, navigation, and human improvisation, Jason guided the ship through the storm. He adjusted shields, diverted power, and timed their movements perfectly. The nebula's deadly currents threatened to tear the vessel apart, but human ingenuity prevailed. When they emerged on the other side, Lyra exhaled deeply. She looked at Jason with awe. "You You are unlike anyone I have ever met. You saved us both. Jason shook his head. It's not about being special. It's about doing what needs to be done. And it's about not giving up when everything seems lost. Lyra felt a swell of respect and gratitude. She realized that humans, though small and underestimated, carried a strength of will that could overcome even the most impossible odds. She began to see him not only as a rescuer, but as a partner, someone who could think, act, and survive when the universe seemed determined to stop them. As they neared the outer edges of Virelia's territory, the familiar glow of their home planet appeared in the distance. Lyra's heart leaped. She was almost home, but the journey was not yet complete. She knew the rogue Cardin would not give up easily, and they might try one final attempt to stop her return. Jason adjusted the ship's course, preparing for the final leg. We're close, he said. Stay alert. It's not over until you're safely home. Lyra nodded, feeling a mixture of fear and excitement. I am ready, she said. With you, I feel I can face anything. The stars stretched ahead, and in that vast, endless space, a bond continued to grow between the human and the alien princess. It was a bond built on courage, trust, and shared experience. She had faced fear, captivity, and uncertainty. Now, thanks to Jason, she was returning home, stronger, wiser, and full of hope. Jason glanced at her, pride in his expression. Humans might be small in the galaxy, but their courage, ingenuity, and determination could shine anywhere, even in the heart of alien civilizations. And for Lyra, the princess who had endured so much, she had discovered something unexpected. Sometimes the smallest allies could make the greatest difference. Together, they pressed onward toward Virelia, ready to face whatever challenges remained, and ready to reunite with the queen who awaited her daughter's return. The twin suns of Virelia bathed the capital city in golden light, casting long, sparkling shadows across the gleaming towers. From orbit, the city looked perfect, serene, and untouched by the chaos that had threatened the queen's family. Within the palace, tension filled the air. Guards moved swiftly through corridors, and advisors whispered anxiously. News of Princess Lyra's capture had spread quickly, and though hope remained, fear lingered like a shadow. Queen Solara paced the grand hall, her long, elegant limbs gliding across the polished floor. Her violet eyes shimmered with unshed tears. Where is she? She murmured repeatedly, speaking more to herself than to anyone else. My daughter, my child. The sound of an approaching vessel alerted the palace. A human ship, small, yet sleek, descended into the city's docking bay. Guards exchanged startled glances. Humans were rare visitors to Virelia, and even rarer in the inner city. Jason Hart guided the ship smoothly to the landing pad. Beside him, Princess Lyra sat. Quietly, her posture straight and regal, though her heart raced with anticipation. She had been away for days, rescued from the Cardiness clutches by this human, whose courage and ingenuity had saved her life. As the landing doors opened, palace guards rushed forward, weapons ready but restrained. They were here to protect, not interfere. Lyra stepped forward first, taking in the familiar sights of her home. Every corridor, every detail of the palace felt both comforting and strange after her ordeal. Then, in the great hall, she saw her mother. Queen Solara stood tall and commanding, yet her expression was one of raw emotion. The moment Lyra's eyes met her mother's, tears spilled freely from Solara's eyes. Mother. Lyra cried, running toward her. Solara dropped to her knees, enveloping her daughter in a tight embrace. Lyra, my child, you have returned. She sobbed. I feared I would never see you again. Lyra clung to her mother, her own tears falling. I am safe. Thanks to him, she said softly, turning toward Jason. The queen straightened, her eyes locking on the human. At first there was surprise, then recognition, and finally, a deep, profound respect. Humans were small, delicate-looking creatures. Compared to the Virelians, But this one had done the impossible. He had saved her daughter. You, Solara said, her voice trembling. You are the human who rescued my daughter. Jason bowed his head slightly. Yes, Your Majesty. It was my duty to ensure her safety. The Queen's gaze lingered. On him, a human. And yet, you have shown courage greater than many of my finest warriors. I am grateful. Lyra stepped closer, placing a hand gently on her mother's arm. Mother, he did not hesitate. You risked everything for me. Solara's eyes softened as she looked at Jason. Indeed. You have my eternal gratitude. Not only for saving my daughter, but for restoring hope to our people. The palace began to buzz with whispers. Courtiers, nobles, and guards observed the scene with fascination. Some were skeptical, wary of the human outsider. Others were curious, impressed by the display of bravery and loyalty. An advisor, a tall Varelian with silver-hued skin, stepped forward cautiously. Your Majesty, you have never encountered a human of such skill and courage. This could change perceptions of your ally species. Solara nodded, still holding Lyra close.
Oh, indeed.
Perhaps it is time to reconsider what we think we know about humans. Lyra took a deep breath and turned fully toward Jason. You have saved my life, and in doing so, you have earned my trust and my respect. You are extraordinary. Jason's expression softened. I didn't do it for recognition. But I appreciate your words, Princess. The moment was interrupted by the arrival of palace medics and guards, eager to ensure Lyra was unharmed. Jason stepped back, giving them space. Lyra allowed herself to be examined, though she felt safe, more than she had in days. Threats were behind her for now. Once assured that she was physically unharmed, Solara led Lyra to a quieter chamber. The Queen's hands remained on her daughter's shoulders as she spoke, her voice steady but emotional. Lyra, you have endured horrors I cannot imagine, yet you are here, alive and strong. That is more than I could have hoped for. Lyra lowered her gaze slightly, still processing her emotions. I would not have survived without him, she said. Jason, he saved me, every step of the way. Solara looked at Jason again, admiration clear in her eyes. He is more than a human. He is a hero of this galaxy. Because of him, my daughter returns to me. The palace courtiers began to murmur again, some skeptical of the praise for a human, others clearly impressed. Lyra noticed the subtle shifts in the room, the respect that Jason had earned simply through action, bravery, and selflessness. In Veralia, deeds often spoke louder than titles, and this human had demonstrated qualities few aliens had expected. A herald stepped forward, clearing his throat. Your Majesty, Princess Lyra. May I present Jason Hart, the human who rescued the princess from Cardan captivity. By the Queen's decree, he shall be honored for his courage and loyalty. Jason stepped forward, bowing respectfully. I thank you, Your Majesty. I only did what was right. Solara's eyes glistened with tears once more. Sometimes, doing what is right changes the course of history. Today, Jason Hart has done just that. Lyra stepped beside him, her hand brushing his shoulder lightly. He has my gratitude, Mother, and my respect, more than I can say. The Queen reached out, placing her hand on both Lyra and Jason's shoulders. Then it is settled. You have not only returned to me, my child, but you have shown our people and perhaps the galaxy that courage, loyalty, and heart can surpass strength and size. Humans may indeed be extraordinary. Outside the palace windows, the city shimmered in the light of the twin suns. Guards saluted, courtiers whispered, and citizens began to hear rumors of the human who had achieved what few Varelians could. Jason's presence, though rare, had already begun to shift perceptions as the day continued. Lyra and her mother spoke privately, recounting the princess's ordeal. Lyra described the Cardan base, the capture, and the moments of fear. But throughout her story, she emphasized the human's bravery and resourcefulness. He never faltered, she said, her voice steady despite the memories. Even when danger was everywhere, he thought, calculated, and acted. He saved me at every step. Solara nodded solemnly. A hero indeed, and perhaps a bridge between our people. Humans are rare, and yet they can shine where others might fail. The Queen's advisors and nobles observed the interaction, some still wary, others clearly impressed. The story of Jason Hart's courage spread quickly, inspiring discussion of new alliances and interstellar respect. Later, Lyra and Jason walked through the palace gardens, the twin suns casting long shadows across the alien flora. Lyra turned to him, her expression earnest. I never imagined a human could mean so much to me, to my people. You have my gratitude and my admiration. Jason smiled faintly. I only did my job, but hearing that means more than you. No. For the first time, Lyra felt the depth of connection between them. Not just survivor and rescuer, but allies in the truest sense, bound by courage, trust, and shared experience. As night fell over Varelia, the city glittered like a sea of stars. Princess Lyra had returned home, safe and stronger than before. Jason Hart, the human, had not only saved her life, but had shown that humans, though small and underestimated, could achieve greatness among the stars. The Queen wept silently in her chambers, grateful for her daughter's return and astonished at the human who had made it possible. A new respect was born that day, a respect that would ripple through the Varelian court, changing perceptions forever. Lyra looked at Jason, her violet eyes filled with gratitude. Together, we faced the impossible. Together, we returned home. Jason nodded, pride in his gaze. Humans may be small, he said, but we can do great things. And today, I think we proved it. You're the princess, the queen, and the city of Varelia. Hope had returned. And the human who had defied expectations had earned a place, not only in their hearts, but in the story of their world. The galaxy was vast, and challenges remain, but one truth shone brightly. Courage, ingenuity, and compassion could triumph. Anywhere, even across the stars, and for Jason Hart, the human who had risked everything for an alien princess, the journey had just begun. The twin suns of Varelia cast a warm, golden glow over the city, reflecting off the crystal towers and polished walkways. The city hummed with life, but the heart of the palace buzzed even louder. Today was not just a celebration of Princess Lyra's return. It was the day that the people would see the human who had defied expectations and saved a princess. Changing their perception of an entire species, Queen Solara stood on the balcony of the Grand Hall, her elegant form radiating authority and relief. She watched her daughter Lyra speaking with court advisors, the princess's posture strong and confident. By her side was Jason Hart, the human who had risked everything to rescue her. Today he would be formally recognized not merely as a visitor, but as a hero. The hall filled with nobles, officials, and advisors. Some whispered in curiosity, others in admiration. Humans were rare in Varelia, and a human who had performed feats rivaling Varelian warriors was unprecedented. A herald stepped forward, clearing his throat. Citizens of Varelia, today we honor a brave soul who saved the life of our beloved Princess Lyra and demonstrated courage beyond measure. Gosh. Jason Hart, human of Earth, we welcome you not only as an ally, but as a symbol of bravery and ingenuity. Jason stepped forward, bowing slightly. His posture was modest, yet there was quiet pride in his eyes. Thank you, Your Majesty. I only did what was right. Every being deserves a chance at life and freedom. The Queen's gaze softened as she looked at him. And yet, what is right is often the hardest path to take. Today, your courage has inspired all of us. Lyra joined her mother at the balcony's edge, her hand resting briefly on Jason's shoulder. You have my trust, my respect, and my gratitude, she said firmly. Not as a princess to a hero, but as one being to another. You have shown what humans are capable of, and I am honored to call you my friend. Jason smiled faintly, humbled, but grateful. The honor is mine, princess. The crowd erupted into applause, the sound echoing through the grand hall. Humans were often underestimated across the galaxy, seen as fragile and simple compared to taller, stronger species. Today, Varelia had seen the truth. Humans could shine with intelligence, courage, and heart. As the celebration continued, Solara addressed her advisors. The Cardan faction has shown we cannot afford complacency. Yet, if a human can face impossible odds and succeed, then we too can find new ways to strengthen our defenses, alliances, and understanding of other species. Perhaps it is time to see humans not as outsiders, but as partners. One advisor, a tall Varelian with silver-hued skin, nodded slowly. Indeed, Your Majesty. Today has shown that courage and ingenuity are not limited by species. Humans may be small, but their impact can be immense. Outside the palace, Lyra and Jason walked through the gardens, the twin suns casting long, soft shadows. Flowers of alien design bloomed in vibrant colors, their fragrance carrying lightly on the wind. Lyra glanced at Jason, her expression serious, yet warm. You have changed my perspective entirely, she said softly. Once thought humans were delicate, perhaps even weak. But you have shown me that courage, cleverness, and heart matter more than size or strength. Jason nodded. Humans survive because we adapt. We use our minds, not just our muscles, and we never give up. That's what matters most. Lyra smiled, a glimmer of admiration in her violet eyes. You are extraordinary, not just for what you have done, but for who you are. Jason chuckled softly. I just do what's right, but thank you. As they walked, palace guards approached, bringing news from the outer territories. The Cardan had regrouped, but their forces were scattered and disorganized. Jason and Lyra listened carefully, analyzing the information. This is the moment, Jason said quietly. If we act wisely, we can neutralize the threat before it spreads. Strategy, planning, and decisive action. That's how we win. Lyra nodded. Then let us do it, together. With Jason's guidance, Varelian forces began to organize a counter-operation. They used tactics and strategies inspired by Jason's human experience, combining Varelian strength and technology with clever maneuvers and resourceful planning. The Cardan, expecting resistance but not ingenuity of this caliber, were overwhelmed. In battle after battle, human-inspired tactics turned the tide. Small, precise strikes, unexpected maneuvers, and psychological tactics confused and demoralized the rogue faction. Lyra watched in awe. Your mind, it is as powerful as any army, she said. I see now why you succeeded. Jason shrugged. It's teamwork. You have the strength, I have the planning. Together, we can overcome anything. Within days, the Cardan faction was neutralized, their threat contained. Peace returned to Varelia, not just through brute force, but through strategy, courage, and the alliance between species. Humans had proven themselves not through numbers or size, but through ingenuity, bravery, and heart. The Queen called a gathering in the Grand Hall where she addressed her people. Today, we honor not just our princess, but also a human who has proven that courage transcends species. Jason Hart has reminded us that strength alone does not make a hero. Dedication, intelligence, and compassion do. Let this be a lesson to all. Humanity is not to be underestimated. The crowd cheered, their admiration for the human hero clear. Even the most skeptical nobles acknowledged his feats, their opinions shifting in real time. Humans had earned respect across the stars. Lyra approached Jason after the gathering. You have changed my world, she said softly, not just mine or people's. You have shown that humans are not just visitors in the galaxy, but beings capable of greatness. Jason smiled faintly. I only did what was right, but I'm glad I could help. And I'm glad I could show the Varelians what humans are truly capable of. For the first time, Lyra allowed herself to truly relax. She had faced fear, captivity, and uncertainty, and had returned home, safe and stronger. Humans, small as they might seem, could inspire hope, earn respect, and even shape the future of civilizations. The queen joined them in the gardens, her expression filled with pride and gratitude. "Jason Hart," she said solemnly, "you have done more than I could have imagined. You have saved my daughter, strengthened our people, and proven that humans are a force to be respected. For that, you will always have a place here." Jason bowed, humbled. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I am honored." Lyra stepped beside her. "Mother," looking at Jason with deep respect. "Together we faced the impossible. Together we returned peace to Varelia. And together we have shown that courage knows no bounds." As the twin suns set, casting a warm glow over the city, the three of them stood together, the palace, the capital. And the people of Varelia would remember this day forever, the day a human risked everything to save a princess. In doing so, changed the galaxy's view of humanity. Jason the human had proven that size and strength mattered less than courage, ingenuity, and heart. Humans could rise above expectations, shine among the stars, and inspire awe even in the most advanced alien civilizations. Lyra smiled, the last traces of fear and doubt gone. "Thank you, Jason," she said softly, "for everything." Jason looked at her, pride and humility in his eyes. "It's what humans do. We never give up, and we always do what's right. That's all anyone can ask for." The queen placed a hand on Jason's shoulder, her violet eyes shimmering. "May your courage guide others as it has guided my daughter and my people. Today, humanity has earned its place among the stars." And with that, the story of Princess Lyra's rescue, the human hero, and the triumph of courage, ingenuity, and heart came to a close. Varelia had been saved, alliances had been strengthened, and the galaxy had witnessed the truth. Humans could shine brighter than anyone imagined. The twin suns set slowly over the city, bathing the world in gold and silver light. Princess Lyra was home. The Cardan threat was gone. The humanity had proven itself once again in the vastness of the universe. Jason Hart, the human who had risked everything, looked toward the stars. The galaxy was wide, filled with challenges, wonders, and new opportunities. And he knew this was only the beginning. Humans were small, but their courage, heart, and ingenuity would always leave a mark. And in the hearts of Varelia, the queen, and her daughter, that mark would never fade.